Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this second day of September 2024. In studio, I have Robert Mbui, the Member of Parliament for Kathiani constituency, but also the Deputy Minority Leader at the National Assembly. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Morning, Sam.
And I have Wilson Sosion, former Member of Parliament, but also former Secretary General and Chairman of the KNUT. Good morning.
Good morning, Sam.
Yeah, right. So, karibuni sana, and I want us to quickly go through the papers. We're still expecting the arrival of Senator Ledamo Lekina, who is the minority whip at the Senate, and also the arrival of Geoffrey Ruku, Member of Parliament from Mbeere North. As soon as they are here, they'll be joining the conversation. The front page of the Standard was talking about misplaced priorities, the country in a myriad of problems, from the teacher strike to jittery Gen Z youth who are calling for good governance, to the imminent threat from the mpox disease. But the president and his executive are busy politicking. That's what the paper is leading with this morning. And you'll find more details inside the paper, excuse me, including on page 3 about Raila's base happy as Gen Z demands on a back burner. And then the country is in crisis. That is on page 2 of the Standard: Education, Health, Economy, all in dire situation. You may recall that there is an order at the moment from the Principal Secretary for Basic Education that parents register their learners as they resume learning for the current term. But also the health laws are still in a situation there because the High Court decided that they are unconstitutional and nullified them. If you look at the Daily Nation, it's World Bank, IMF hit back. The World Bank and the IMF have for the first time confronted damning accusations of reckless lending to Kenya, even as their rebuttals are disputed by audits and budget reports. And again, is Raila a double agent in Gashagua's Nyanza popularity is a question they're asking. DP Gashagua has stirred political waters by making a strong show when he accompanied President William Ruto in the just concluded tour of the region. We'll be talking about a bit of that, but first let's begin with you, Honorable Mheshimiwa Sosion. Did I just do that? Honorable Mheshimiwa, all right. Next time I refer to you, I will not use any. But talk to us about, because now we understand that Kuppet has insisted the strike is on, starting today being the second week of that strike. And such a crucial term it is for the KCSE candidates. So who will blink first?
It's not a question of who will blink first. We have a big problem here that must be handled, and not just handled, but done so expeditiously. And this is a conflict between teachers and their employer, the Teacher Service Commission. And they raised quite a number of issues. Some have been addressed, including funding of the CBA and funding of conversion of interns. The president has given very clear directive on that. But Kuppet has stuck to a very legitimate item that even should have been number one.
Right. That
of promotion of teachers and abolishing what you call career promotion guidelines, which was sneaked in by TSC and have not been approved by Parliament. Some teachers are managed through the Code of Regulations for Teachers, a statutory document that is adopted by Parliament. And the CBG guidelines were declared illegal by the courts on 12th of July 2019. And the Code of Regulations allows promotion of teachers on 3 grounds. 1, the duration of in service. Then you earn an automatic promotion. And then number 2, if you advance your studies, then you earn an automatic promotion. And then the other one is competitive promotion. But then that was abolished, and a document called Career Progression Guidelines was brought in. And I think 6 years down the line, teachers are now feeling the hit that you can't progress. You enter service and you get stuck in a grade, you cannot move. And of course, this was brought by TSC with Jubilee administration to cut down on the wage bill. And I think day by day, teachers are feeling it. They're very bitter about it. They're very genuine about it, that I can say.
So the career progression guidelines would indicate that you have to go through a process?
You must be interviewed. It abolishes automatic promotions. And the president actually reintroduced promotion of teachers by putting 2 billion and encouraging direct and indirect promotions. But I can tell you, even if 5 billion is put in the promotions, while the CPG guidelines are in place, which were not properly negotiated, they were not approved by Parliament, they're not a product of public participation, they're actually imperial tools of oppression and denial of teachers' rights of progression. Yes, there wasn't, and the court found it, and legitimately so. So we are dealing with a big quagmire, a creation by the Teacher Service Commission, and I think at this stage, the way forward to unlock this stalemate is to compel the Teacher Service Commission to urgently sit with the unions around the table and draft a return to work formula on the basis of the grievances that they've raised. Those that have been solved and those that which have not been solved. The action of running to court to fish for orders to stop a strike is outdated. That is victimization, and it is asphyxiation of unions. And then the other action, stopping union dues. Sami, stopping union dues. And this is a habit that TSC has perfected. Stopping union dues to asphyxiate unions is wrong. And this is not the time to promote bad industrial relations in the country. The education sector is delicate. We are moving for an examination period.
Do you think the unions, in this case Kuppet, has any obligation when it comes to the court orders already issued?
The orders, the rulings of the court binds everybody. It's binding. It is not selective. You cannot cherry pick. Once an Employment and Labor Relations Court pronounces itself and a determination has been arrived at, it becomes law, because that determination has not been challenged at all. And that is a fact. That's a fact of procedure. Even if you ask members of Parliament here, if an institution is creating a law, a policy that is supposed to be approved by Parliament, and it is not approved by Parliament, and it is applied against the citizen, then it's illegal and unconstitutional. This is something that is not negotiable. It's not a political item, it's a professional item, and is a crime by the Teacher Service Commission. And I think, Sami,
that's what I'm asking.
What needs to be done?
Because there's an order.
Yes.
What should Kuppet do as we speak?
That order, you know, that code, that application was made by yours truly then. And you know the rest of the story. You're here discussing how I exited NAC. This is part of the reasons why I exited, because the administration and the regime did not want the stoppage of that particular CBG. And that CBG has remained alive to date. And Kuppet has one option. It can choose not to go the court way and to proceed with the strike action until it is removed. So unions have got the option.
You're confusing me.
I'm not confusing you. Kuppet are on strike because of it. So you want to direct Kuppet to go to court. They can choose not to.
I am saying
they actually can.
TSC went to court.
Yes.
An order was issued.
Yes.
That Kuppet, that the illegal should be stopped. The
career progression guidelines were illegal.
No. That the strike should be stopped and that Kuppet should go back to work.
Now, I think, Sami, you are now arguing cheaply. The court order given, the court order that has been issued by the Employment and Labor Relations Court has been overtaken by events. It cannot be sustained, and therefore it has collapsed. It is not a must. You know, unions, you cannot use courts to bust unions or to stop unions or to herd them back to class. I've been in that space myself, and I have seen court orders that are even defied by members. It is not possible. That is not the right route to go.
Okay.
Why do we have institutions and provisions for negotiations? What is so hard for TSC to summon parties to the table and negotiate?
Okay.
I think we have a general problem, and we have had this historically for a long time, and something needs to be done. I think TSC as a constitutional commission is worse than the other Cherera commission that had issues. This one is the worst. That then must be overhauled and thorough surgery be done so that we have proper working industrial relationship between teachers and their employers so that we can stabilize the delivery of quality of education in this country.
All right.
Since this scuffle started, you can see the global competitiveness in terms of quality of education of Kenya has dropped from #1 to #7. So it's a serious issue. TSC action alone can destroy the delivery of quality education in this country. And that I dare say it without blinking an eye.
All right. Mheshimiwa Mbui, so now what happens? Because there's that contest that the teachers don't feel that court order binds them because, as Honorable Susun says, was overtaken by events. Yet you have learners who are suffering.
You know, Sam, I want to just generalize this matter of education, even other than just the teachers' strike, which is a real issue because, I mean, it's going to affect our exams which are coming in the next 2 months or so, the national exams. Again, you know, we also have a problem with the university funding model, which has disenfranchised over 20,000 of our young citizens. We also have a problem of junior secondary school infrastructure. We are finishing the year, and then by January, we are expected to have so many more classes built in our primary schools to accommodate those junior secondary learners that will go to grade 9. And we don't have even 10% of that is not in place. And I'm saying this in view of the fact that when I look at what the Standard has said, they've just put a headline here about misplaced priorities. The reality is that when Kenya is suffering from all these, you know, and whenever you touch education, you're actually touching the future of the country. The leaders of Kenya Kwanza are out there in the villages celebrating, dancing, you know, to jigs and wiggling their behinds and globetrotting, going around launching and relaunching projects. When the country is in a mess like this. This is a time when we require leadership. This is a time when you require the executive to go back to the drawing board and sit in their offices, call meetings and organize themselves so that they can be able to provide solutions. Unfortunately, Kenya Kwanza is looking at 2027. And I think Kenya is in the wrong hands because if we don't deal with some of these issues, then I don't know what future we are looking at for our children. So for me, I want to say that it's important right now that the executive gets to up their game and get back to the office and start sorting out these issues because this is where the country is. We are headed in the wrong direction because we have can I call it rudderless? And I think that wouldn't be too much, but I think they are rudderless because they should be dealing with these priorities. These are the issues that should be dealing with. In the next 2 months, Sam, you'll have a problem with the exam. Then after that, we'll start a new year. We'll have children in grade 9 that will not have classes. What will we be telling Kenyans? This is a time to plan. When will we ever sit and plan? So for me, I think the problem is that we have a leadership that is hell-bent on politicking from day one up to the last day of the 5-year term.
Okay, wow, interesting. And you raised a very important point about the transition questions that are coming up. Joining us now is Honorable Geoffrey Ruku from Mbeere North and Senator Ledamo Lekina from Narok County. He's also the minority whip at the Senate. Good morning, both of you.
Good morning.
Mheshimiwa Ruku, so we are here talking about the situation in the schools. And of course, you've seen the union, Kupet, insisting that they will continue with the strike. And again, like Mheshimiwa Mbui indicates there are many questions that are affecting the education sector, not even forgetting what is going on at the university financing. What then do we do to find a solution? Because, like I said earlier, the biggest casualty here is the student.
Sam, I think there are two key things which any administration has to get it right. Whether it is Kenya Kwanza ODM administration or whether it is Azmio in future, I don't know when, education and health sector. Because education, the very poor in our societies are painfully affected if education system is not right, if things within the education sector are not going right. Because in terms of paying fees, those who are very affected are the very poor in our communities. And I have seen in my constituency where even after issuing bursaries, parents are still unable to take their children, to sustain their children in schools, at the university, at colleges, at secondary schools. And not because they want to be in that situation, it's because they are poor. So if such a situation is compounded by teachers' strikes, where government is not able to have proper, sustainable arrangement for teachers to offer these services to our children, then it becomes a very big problem to our nation. I think our administration must get it right as far as the education sector is concerned. Whether it is CPC, whether it is those in Form 1 and up to Form 4, colleges, universities, university funding, education is key. Education is extremely important for any nation. And the backbone of our nation is education. We have a very well-equipped, trained human resource which is respected across the globe because of education system.
Do you have specific comments to the teachers' strike? Because like Mheshimiwa Susun here says, they're talking about career progression.
Yes.
And you saw some stories filed over the weekend, including one by Ben Kirui, talking about a teacher who has been in the profession, I think since 1994, thereabout, has stayed at Ofafa Jericho since 1994, so that's about 30 years, never changed the rank, has gone for interviews but has not been lucky.
Last year, I moved a motion in Parliament where we discussed about JSS, Junior Secondary School funding and implementation framework. And out of that motion, so many issues were discussed as far as education system is concerned, from the staffing to training, training of teachers, continuous, not only when they are trained in colleges, but also continuous training, which is very important, which does not happen, promotion, remuneration of the teachers, whether it is primary school teachers, whether it's JSS teachers, whether it's secondary school teachers, which are not properly added by one of key commission, a constitutional commission called Teacher Service Commission. And I think it's high time we restructure Teacher Service Commission because I think it's so humongous, is a monster. The way it is, it administers huge amounts of resources to the extent that the senior managers of this commission, they are completely buried by the size of the Teacher Service Commission. I think we need to restructure Teacher Service Commission. Probably. Is
it big for the staff it takes care of, or what do you mean big? Because the teachers are in schools, aren't they?
The Teacher Service Commission is so huge. The budget which this commission is handling is more than the defense budget of our nation.
Indeed. For instance, the current financial year, we have about 358 billion shillings, which is more than 50% of the budget to the education sector.
Yes.
So what is the structural problem that you are seeking to correct?
Sam, you are not new in Jerusalem, you know. When we have 350 billion being managed by 2-3 people, my friend, some of these people can go nuts. Because it's huge amount of money. Some of these people can be so powerful.
For paying salaries. How does that make them strong?
How are
They're running a payroll.
Sam, I don't want to get into some details for now, but what I'm saying is
it would be useful to do so, and Sam knows as well. Pretending.
Sam, do you know the fight around the insurance of the teachers?
Medical insurance.
I don't think I'm feeling I don't want to go through deep in that. It will bring other issues.
But you have said no. Don't fear. Is it?
maybe my friends accuse me to talk about it. But the point which I'm trying to make.
No, let's all talk about it.
Sam, the point which I'm trying to make is, I think TSC, Teacher Service Commission, is so huge in terms of budget, as well as in terms of the work, the administration aspect, because we are talking about all sub-counties in the Republic of Kenya have a sub-county teacher service director. And not only that, we have curriculum, what do you call CSOs, curriculum support officers, which are at the zonal level, which are under TSC. So it's a huge, in the entire Republic of Kenya, it's a very huge organization. This organization needs some restructuring.
I do not understand what exactly is the problem with that structure that you describe. I'll give you some time to reflect on it and then I'll come back to you. But Senator Ledamo,
only that I don't want to get into some details
for now, so that you can refine your answer. Senator Olekina, with all these challenges, do you have any possible solutions that can be implemented in addressing this situation in the education sector?
Let me put it this way first.
Yep.
You know, the first thing is that I believe all of us here ask ourselves, how do you explain to a child that the teachers are going on strike? Do you tell them that the teachers are taking a break so that they can fight for what they believe is right? You know, my colleague here has alluded to something which he does not want to talk about it. But it is quite factual that in this country, after the Kenya Police Service, the Teacher Service Commission is ranked second as the most corrupt institution. So the solutions you are seeking, which we know that can only be can only come about when we try to entangle these encompasses of, you know, sweeping issues, social issues that have to do with the issue of teachers. The only thing I believe can happen is that if we truly believe in devolution, is to begin thinking about devolving the Teacher Service Commission into schools districts. You know, when you look at other jurisdictions like in the US, you know, when the teachers strike, which is quite rare, they are striking because of various issues. It has always been about bread and butter. It has been about trying to create more funding for schools. So if we can take education as a health sector, you know, sort of like take the policies to the national level, but when it comes to the issue of funding schools and onto the issue of discussing about the welfare of the teachers, it becomes a district issue. I think we can be able to resolve that. I strongly believe that we are the problems ourselves, because we keep on talking about all these problems, but we never solve them. We never literally come up with solutions for solving them. My colleague here is saying he does not want to talk about the rot in the Teacher Service Commission. You know, my brother Sosion is talking about why he left Kupet, because there are issues that we are dealing with. You know, not Kupet, but Nat.
Yep.
The challenge here is this. You know, are these systemic issues that we can be able to resolve them? Is it that Parliament is also in bed with this corrupt service? You know, when we summon this Teacher Service Commission to appear before Parliament, we seek certain solutions. You know, we highlight issues. You know, we cannot continue on the 21st century to having, you know, sort of like these labor strikes, which we can never be able to sit down and discuss and have solutions to them. We know that we want to leave this world a better place than we found it, so we have to be able to be progressive in solving the problems. When you sit here and you tell us that there's a teacher who's been in Jericho for 30 years, has been applying for promotion, and no one gives a hoot in hell about his welfare, it bothers me as a leader, you know, and I'd want to see sweeping changes in the Teacher Service Commission. You know, if they cannot be able to handle such a huge budget, as number one, let's devolve it. Let's devolve those services. Let us make it easy for the school districts to be able to determine their issues, solve their problem, so that we can be able to have better working conditions for the teachers. We can be able to improve their welfare. My brother here has talked about insurance in the Teacher Service Commission. Everybody knows that that is corruption, but Parliament is part of the problem there, because whenever we actually, let me tell you, and you'll be reading about this in subsequent articles that I write, we draft legislations to be able to enrich a few individuals, to create oligarchs who will be able to be agents. Even when you look at the PFM Act, my friend, the PFM Act is is amended solely for a purpose of enriching a few individuals. The Social Health Insurance Fund is amended or is developed in a way that it will enrich a few individuals. Then how do you then tell me here, Sam, that we will have solutions if we cannot be able to go to the systemic problems and resolve them?
All right, Senator, allow me to take a short break, and I'll come back to take your final views about this particular question of education sector, including the structure of the Teacher Service Commission and what needs to be done there. The complaints about having a huge budget, yet they're also saying they do not have the resources to honor most of the requests from the teachers. We talk about that after the break.